So maybe now we can delve into the more substantive issues of the day. Now, we start off with the Tema fire, the Central Medical Stores fire that actually destroyed property, we are told, in millions of Ghana cedis, about 230 million Ghana cedis or so. And the issue of certain things that have come up since that particular fire. We are told some people have been interdicted. One more person is expected to be interdicted today. We are told one Nanaya Williams. She's actually the coordinator of the NGO desk at the National Malaria Control Program. We are told she's also to be interdicted today. Now, how does this come to you? I mean, this situation where we are told there seemed to be a case that there was a lot of corruption in there, going on in there.
Well, it's interesting when you hear about these things and when you hear people complain, because when I was even coming, I heard an insert being played by Joy FM about one person who has been asked to proceed, who has been interdicted, and she is very bitter, and I am even more intrigued by somebody. We are going to be interdicted. If you interdict people, interdict them. Why are you giving notice of it? I don't know that there's anything called notice of interdiction from the way the story has been presented. Or that this morning or interdiction letter is going to be given to you. I think that, I don't know, that process sounds a bit interesting to me. But the substantive matter is that, yes, we have a crisis on our hands. All sorts of things, all manner of things have come up. Speculations, people are deducing all manner of possibilities. So we need to find the real answers if it's somewhere. So people are just being said that, look, you have been part of this process throughout. Can you step aside? Interdiction is not dismissal. There's a great difference between interdiction and dismissal. Interdiction, you are being told to step aside for investigations to take place, after which the decision will be made whether you must come back or you then they'll follow it up with the substantive dismissal, if so, or whatever punitive action that must be taken. So I think that those shouting murder about interdiction, I think that they are even heightening more suspicion. Is it Dr. Pat Planch they call her? She said several things, and that for me even justifies the interdiction. Because if you are saying that, well, you discovered a fraud, and that you started investigation, and then you were told to come on a Wednesday for some documentation, then Tuesday the fire came. So if I were a security-minded person, I would just start saying, well, possibly the fire, it was an answer because the fire really was engineered by somebody to cover up the corruption that is made. And that is what we are trying to find out. That's what the national security operatives are supposed to be finding out. What caused the fire? Is it the result of this or that? Everybody, and she mentioned the NGO allocation, where she said out of about 10 NGOs, only one from Bronga Afu had said that they've received some drugs. All the rest, she checked the drugs that are supposed to have been issued out to them. When she checked, all of them said they hadn't received any supplies. So that again feeds into the suspicion that a lot of people have. So if the NGO lady who is supposed to be doing the part of the allocation, it has to step aside so that investigation is conducted in activity. I don't think that there's anything wrong with it.
But let's talk about Dr. Constance Bad-Planch, for instance. She is the head of the National Malaria Control Program. Now, I am at post and I take my leave. Then some way someone is acting in my stead. Yes, still my signature appears on some of these documents as me being the person authorizing some of these things. Obviously, won't you suspect foul play? Couldn't it be the case that possibly people were doing things behind their back yet still framing her? You know,
well, that is what the security, national security cooperatives are supposed to find out. So really, that's why I said I don't see this. The more you shout, the more people get the impression that you are trying to hide something.
Yeah.
You have been asked to go on interdiction so that investigation got conducted. If indeed they find, and they do find, that your signature was forged, it gives you a clean bill of health for you to come back and do your work. It even exonerates you better. But from the way you are shouting, for me, then it becomes problematic because you see, we all go on leave. Yeah, I'm sure he's been on leave sometimes. But as executive director of national service, if he goes on leave and there are certain particular documents to be signed, it could be sent to a house. It could be sent to his house. Is that not true? It could be sent to you at home, particularly those that require the signature of the executive checks. Because when the executive director goes on leave, he will not go and do change of signatory that I'm on leave for 30 days, so let's do change of signatory at the bank. Do you do that?
You do that.
You do that. Sometimes you will be there and they bring you a check at home and you say if you are a second signatory or something. So really, these things, for her coming to say that I was on leave so my signature was forged, needs to be investigated. And when we are talking about forgery is a legal term of art. It has to go through a certain process. Other than that, everybody will get up in one morning and say, oh, my signature was forged, my signature. There are forensic experts who will look at it, who will authenticate whether your signature was forged or it wasn't forged. Question people and find out if indeed you were somewhere around the premises within the time that you're supposed to be on leave. Several things, and this we are talking about millions of Ghana cedis that has been lost. I don't think that we should handle it with kids close. So I am all for those who should go on interdiction, to the extent that they are guilty until proven, but they are innocent until proven guilty. Interdiction, you take part of your salary. The only thing is that you are not part. You will not come to work. You won't come and work. When you are found not to have committed any, your entitlement are restored to you. So what is wrong with it?
I see. Honorable Gambila,
yes.
How does this come to you? I mean, but for this fire, we probably wouldn't have heard or seen any such thing.
Yeah. First of all, let me take it from the signatory point.
Okay.
If you are going on leave, you go on leave. You hand over and go on your leave. Leave, you are supposed to go and rest after a period of a year's work. So if you are going on leave, like you are, you have to hand over properly. Because you've worked up to a certain point. If it is about financial records, the accounts, you let the auditors come at best. Draw a line, you hand over, and you go.
That's assuming she was on leave. She was away.
Yeah, if she was on leave. Yeah. Sometimes this thing about let's send a document to sign a check is where people maybe for some reason like a bit of indisposed today, 2 days, 3 days kind of thing. Yeah. But if you go on your leave, you must go on leave and hand over to your next person properly. You write the handing over notes, you write to the bank, the signature introduced and all that. So the banks know that you are out for a certain period. So that is how it works. Now, people don't go on leave because of these things. Most people fear to go on leave. And that thing, I think it should become a policy, national policy and enforceable policy.
Mandatory leave.
Yeah. So you must go. You see, first of all, if you go on leave, it shows that you are a good leader. Because in your absence, things must happen. Why should it be, I'm not there, therefore nothing will happen? When I was in national service, you just mentioned something there about leave that I go. Yes, I went on leave. And sometimes I went on leave and stayed excess. You know, I leave the country and things are going on properly. All I do is telephone monitoring. But you hand over properly and that's it. When you come back, you check. The fellow also hands over properly. You check everything. This is where I left. This is where you are living. That's all. You know. So people should go and leave. And people refuse to go and leave because there is something they are hiding. So to your question, but for the fire, we wouldn't have known certain things. Yes. I would say straight away, first of all, your ministers of health and the deputy should have been fired. Straight away. Because they are the leaders. Yeah, they should have been fired first.
That's the Minister of Health.
The Minister of Health and all his deputies and the Chief Director.
He should be fired.
He should have been fired, and his deputy or deputies, plus the Chief Director.
But why do you blame them? How is he?
They are the leaders, and they are supposed to be monitoring on daily basis. You were talking of national service here. When I was there, I made sure every Friday the accountant you bring the up-to-date financial records. I made sure each district, and I had a format. I said each district should send it by this format. So if I put your documents together, look at Point one should be the same. Point 2 should be the same. So I put all your documents down, and I'm looking from left to right, because it must follow that format. It makes it easier. As a leader, you must be monitoring. That's the first thing in basic management. After you plan and whatnot, you monitor and evaluate. There should be a daily report. I asked a question in Parliament about snake serum. Snakes were biting my people in Nabdam. Some had to travel from Bolga to Tamale to buy snake serum. Some, they have to travel, search up to Sandema, Bulsa, go to Boku to buy this snake serum. And poor people buying snake serums to a total of about 800, 900. So sometimes I have to refund. When I asked the question, the minister went round and round, they have supplied this, they have supplied that. Meanwhile, where is it? How many ampoules did you supply? There was no record. But if you go to the central medical stores, you will find certain equipment that they have been lying there for over 10 years.
They've actually expired, some of them.
And some of them, you see, it expired. But they buy the bulky things, the most expensive things, and keep them there. But these basic medicines are not there. Such medicines are what we call it recurrent medications. They are not there. But go there, I'm sure you've been going there. You will see the big equipment, they buy them and keep them, they haven't distributed. You go to the regional central stores too, nothing. I went to my district not a few weeks ago. There was this thing that I don't really get the name well, that Manoquin or something. They use it to measure pregnant, when women are pregnant.
Okay.
They measure the pH or HP or whatever. It costs only 3,000 Ghana cedis. We don't have more than one in the district. And we have not less than 10 health points or locations. Yet, we have only one. And it's only 3,000. But go to the medical stores, the equipment that is not needed now or in the past, they bought them, they are there, they cost millions of dollars.
So to you, this is a reflection of the poor leadership of, say...
The leader, you must monitor every week.
Of the minister?
Yes. You must monitor. You should have a simple mechanism. And even this era of electronics, oh, my brother, you can just have a desktop and everything connected. You sit there and monitor. That is the monitoring aspect. It's a leader's job. It's not the clerical officer, the whatever you call them, the stores assistant, stores manager. No.
So the issues will be there, but it's up to the leader to actually
you should monitor. No. For example, if you go there as a chief director or you went there as a minister, yes, first you would have gone on a familiarization tour to listen to them. And all of the ministers have done that. Why did you go on familiarization tour? And in the Ministry of Health, that is where imports, exports enter. That central store. So you must put your attention there where the bulk of the money goes. Is that store? So it's a pity. And I don't know the nature of the fire, the report is not there, and all those kind of things. And when even the reports are out, your government refuses to release the reports. You brought Americans. The Americans came, we haven't heard anything. And I think when I went to Parliament first, and there was these issues of fires in Tema, my contribution was a call to the state that the Speaker of Parliament should invite the key people like the fire, the police, the whatever, let me say the security, and the key stakeholders within that have relationship with fire outbreaks, to take all the past reports and study them and try an implementation. Nobody listened. So we are always talking. So one day I asked myself, what am I in Parliament for? You come and talk and nothing. I don't see anything happening sometimes. So if
that's
they had
Parliament is not even serving its purpose.
If they had listened to the call the police, the IG, call the Ghana Fire, what do they call the fire, chief fire officer, call the Minister of Interior, the Chief Directors, take all those reports, including the latest American report. Nobody is doing that. So the fires are burning and calling on the state, on the state, that look, go back to the reports. The reports are hunting us. You understand what I'm saying? The reports are hunting us like we're spiritual, like ghost people.
Like he doesn't want to mention ghosts, so that's why
I don't like this idea.
I supply them.
Because it's people who put in names. They know them. You put in names and they go and collect the money and they share behind the doors. That's what they do. Anyway. So the reports are there. We haven't looked at them. What are the fire measures surrounding the central store? How can I have a central medical store without even a fire service substation there? And I think I heard something that some baller was being bent behind some flimsy excuse. How can baller be bent behind a central medical store?
It wasn't actually behind, it was in the premise.
It was in the premise. Somebody was burning something? Or an outsider?
Those are some of the reports we are told. We are told there's a place, it's a burning area. They've been burning there for years.
So a whole line of people need to be fired. And it's amazing, like he said, you want to interdict somebody, then you are giving advance notice. Oh, I will interdict you tomorrow, if that is true.
Yeah, if that is true, that's why I found it intriguing.
It's total nonsense. It's total nonsense.
So beyond
the
interdiction, obviously, so we are told these persons, apparently on Monday also, the BNI picked up quite a number of people, about 10 of them, for some investigations, in interrogations as well. Beyond the interdiction, what do? Do we just sit? As of now, we don't even know the recovery plan of the ministry. Are we aware of such a thing? I'm not sure. I haven't seen any such.
Oh, they will be doing something. They can't be, they can't be sitting down. They will be doing something. Some measures will be taken. But because I heard, from what I heard before was, in terms of measures, I think he's one of the doctors who was talking. Then he said some will be long term. But immediately they are looking at putting certain measures outside the central store.
Which
I heard him talking on I don't know whether it was on your line.
Well, I think that what needs to be done is, first and foremost, I think that now that we don't have, they will have to find a new place designated as the central medical stores. And then as much as possible, moving forward, I think that there will be the need for a decentralization of the system. You see, the general philosophy, the general thinking in other parts of the world where things are working the way they should work would have been that you would expect that in as much as the minister has nothing to do with this, in as much as the deputy ministers have nothing to do with this, you will find out that the other part of the world, they may out of principle or a matter of principle say that, well, because I am head of the institution, I take responsibility and therefore I tender my resignation. So his call, I do not think that this call should be that the minister should be fired. In other places, out of just, like in Europe and other places, there's a train accident and the Minister for Transport says, I'm going home. Even though he was not directly in charge or directly involved. That is what happens in other places.
So your suggestion would be that the minister should...
No, I haven't suggested. What I'm saying is that, you see, where things are working, you see, he makes a beautiful assessment of what the situation is in terms of monitoring and things like that. And he was able to do it successfully at National Service. Simply because, you see, National Service is a nucleus. He has his regional managers who give him reports. He has his district coordinators who give him reports. And then he's sitting in Accra and therefore he's doing his monitoring. Ministry of Health is, I don't know. I was having a chat with Honorable Bagman, who is a former minister, and he says, for all the time that he was at the Ministry of Health, he never got to know every department under him. Ministry of Health is such that when we sit at public accounts and we are going through, you don't even understand. So sometimes you find out that we invite somebody, program coordinator, National AIDS Control Program. And that is why for Ministry of Health, you see that even the malaria thing, you will find out that they will have their audit report separate sometimes, or their performance report separate from that of the ministry. Kolebu is under Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service. There are several, when you get to Kolebu, And the ministry says there's national AIDS control program, there's national malaria control program, there's uncooked salad, or like thousands of them. So the minister, to be very frank with you, would only be looking at policy generally. Day-to-day monitoring, even if you're a magician, the way we structured our system won't work. Maybe, again, we should be looking at deeper decentralization of our health system in this country. You know, the first move they are trying to do is to bring the various health directorates under the district assembly system, where the district health directorate is under the district assembly, then the DCE becomes the monitoring person. You know, until all these things is done, we'll continue to have these problems where the minister is sitting in his office. And then in Ghana, we overburden our ministers. That's another challenge we have. And I believe that my friend who has been regional minister knows that where there is, even where there is a guinea fowl party, they want the minister to be there. Where everybody is drawing their program and the minister must come and say something.
Birthday, funeral.
Yeah, and you see, that doesn't give the minister time to sit down, receive reports from line managers. And like I'm saying, you see all the problems in Kolebu, just Kolebu, where you have a chief executive, that's nucleus. You see the challenges you have. So multiply that challenge by a minister sitting, calling himself a minister of health. So pretending over all the health these institutions in the country, it's a tall order.
But you mentioned something, but that this is the central medical store. I mean, this is where a chunk of the ministry's investment goes into. So I mean, it's basic.
See, at the central medical store, what happens is donations go there. National malaria people get drugs from wherever they get, some through procurement, some through donation. It goes there. Yes. AIDS control program, it goes there.
Everything medicine goes.
Everything medicine goes. So it's not easy. I'm saying that it's not easy. Who says that the minister's focus is not there? The minister's focus is there. The minister may know, but to be very frank with you, you see the quantum of equipment and drugs that are supposed to be there. Which minister, maybe like he says, maybe there's a mammograph that has been bought 10 years ago.
Yes.
He's sitting in some corner somewhere.
20 years.
The minister will have no way of knowing. I mean, let's be fair. That is why we employ chief directors. That's why we employ head of institutions. That's why every hospital has an administrator. That is why every health institution has a line manager in charge of certain things. The challenge I'm trying to put up is that if it were some other ministry, I mean, I have also been, at least for nothing at all, middle level, senior level manager before. What I do, like he says, is because it's a small organization, Monday mornings you come and look at, you come and have your first thing, 7 o'clock, you have your progress meeting. But how do you have a progress meeting when your line managers are about 300 or 400? We are in parliament together. To be very frank with ourselves, and that is why he mentions whether parliament, the kind of documents made available to you as an MP, you will be a magician for the whole week to be able to read through all the documents. So that is why we are lucky that in parliament we do work through committees. So he will concentrate on youth and sports, I will concentrate on constitutional issues, somebody else will concentrate on environment, and that is how we are able to use some synergy to work as a house. Other than that, we will not, if it was just an open house where everybody comes, then we may never be able to do anything. There is so much to do, and our systems are not working. You have a minister who will never know who the head of a certain institution is, because by the time his work gets there, 4 years is passed and he's gone. So you may meet somebody and he says, oh, when you were a minister, I was so when you were executive director, I was the manager, accountant in Urara. How will the executive director know the accountant in Urara? And yet, the accountant is supposed to work to the ED. So if the ED's line managers are up to the task, he's lucky. He himself, I agree, must also make an effort at monitoring. But I'm saying that knowing what I know by the Ministry of Health itself, and that is no wonder they have about the largest budget always that comes to Parliament, because there are so many departments, so many programs, all operating pari passu each other. So it is not a child's play at all. But I agree that maybe it's an opportunity for us. Again, you know, out of every misfortune, you should find some positives. It's an opportunity for us to sit down. Maybe cabinet should even sit down and take a decision. There are times when we talk about bloating, we talk about too many ministers. We've done politics with that in the past. But I think that we should again begin to look at some of these things. Do we need more than one deputy for the Minister of Health, for instance, so that you hive the health into separate, and then you have people who are dedicated and looking at, or do we really decide that, look, Kolebu, for instance, should not be under, has nothing to do with the ministry, it should just stay under the Ghana Health Service. And then Ghana Health Service will look at just, because you see, you have a Director General of Ghana Health Service. Does he have anything to do with the central medical stores? We must find that out. He should. You see, he should. So all these people, that's why maybe he is calling for a long line of people who must.
All of them should, including the Director of the Ghana Health Service.
So I mean, if they all have something to do, then he's called online. But you see, again, one of the challenges we have in Ghana is that, you see, I have said something, people don't like it. They didn't like it in the past. I believe they don't like it. We have too many of our medical doctors trained to be there doing surgery, to be there doing pediatrics consultancy and things like that, being line managers. So everybody is a doctor something. Why don't we have professional health administrators administering these things? The Director of Ghana Health Service doesn't necessarily have to be a medical doctor. If you go to other parts of the world, presidents of universities, most of them are just administrators. They are not professors.
But obviously, if you're a doctor and you're put in charge of such an entity,
I am saying that doctors,
have much more insight into how things should be done.
That is why there's always an advisory council. So the administrator, you convene a meeting with your doctors. They give you the health insight. But administratively, you should know what you are trained as an administrator. You are trained to be a coordinator of things. The doctors should concentrate on their core business. But every doctor who comes to Lagos to come and do public administration, it goes out there. And so they are all leaving the field. And we are always talking about doctor deficit, because they all want to be in offices. They all want to be big people. They want to be district directors, this director. But a doctor's job is in the in the theater, or it's in the hospital.
That may work, it may not work. You see sometimes when there is a problem, we have in management, when there is a problem about media, taking your environment as an example, when there's a problem about relating to media, we have one management style where you don't put professional media men to explore the problem and come up with solutions. You bring people who are not relating to media job, and the idea is that they will question so many things, and out of that the solution may emerge. Because if you put the technical, the professional people, most times they will dwell over theories and principles and trying to prove to each other knowledge and capacity. Yeah. You understand? So that we call the action learning. It's action learning. Where we say program learning is equals to Q, L is equals to P plus Q. So L stands for learning, P stands for program learning, that's the normal educational learning, and then Q is questioning insight. And through that kind of search, a solution emerges. And it has been tried in various years, because so that's why I say it may work, it may not work. But it's also good to have that kind of structure for them. And it's a matter of their own ability to the management style comes in here. You can apportion. We leaders have to know how to delegate. You understand? And so, as a leader, as we're saying again, you go into a ministry or an organization, you really will, it will be difficult to know everybody or to get to all the points. And so you look at the sensitive area and get abreast with that. Look at the entry point where everything goes in, and put a police barrier so that you can monitor as you go along. Okay, so that is what I will call for. And the idea of these central stores, look, it's all, look, the people, I don't know how to say it.
I mean, you should say it.
But it's a business area.
The central medical stores.
Yes, they are doing business. And all contractors want to go there and supply. Why? And they buy the things. You remember, like, I don't know if you people are exploring for these expired things, and you remember Ghana Water and Sewage imported some chemicals lasting for 50 years. When Ghana was less than 50 years since independence, you had to procure chemicals that will last Ghana for the next 50 years. So those chemicals don't expire.
Maybe they are looking into the future.
So they don't expire. Nothing expires.
They will expire.
Looking into the future.
They are just looking into the future.
And what happened? Where are those chemicals today? Today we are still drinking bad water. So even if they were good, where are those chemicals? We are not yet 50 years. These are just a few years back where they said they were for 50 years. Yet what happened? Go and take our water and see. Questionable. Okay? So the central medical stores, you see, they themselves said it already that some people were being investigated. So it's a corruptible place.
Like many other government institutions.
Like some government institutions, not many.
Okay. Some government institutions.
So they are there doing business. So it must be reviewed. Why must you import things and keep them, and we have to travel from Bulgaria to come and convey the things from the central medical stores? And even when they come, they have to queue a number of days or weeks before they are supplied. And then simple recurrent drugs are not available. What is the problem? Do we have an analysis of drug use in various areas so that we say that these are the critical drugs that are recurrently used, and so we need to get these ones right to the local place? Go to all the district health centers and everything. They don't have. Are you saying that they have no stores in the areas to store the medications?
Okay.